before workouts and 4 hours before workouts. So say you have a big meal at lunch, okay, we get maybe 3 grams per kilogram then, and then we tack in our workout maybe 2 or 3 hours later. We may want to do another snack. We know with like 50, 60 more grams if we can, okay, depending on how hard you're training. All right, now if you're just doing like an hour a day, you may not need as much. Now if we're training 2-3 hours a day, you're going to need a lot. Okay, so it very much depends on your training schedule and what your goals are for that training or your workout. Okay, but 100% get some carbohydrates before you go into your workout. Okay, a pre-workout snack ideally would be carbohydrate, a little bit of protein, trying to avoid the fat so much, because those are going to slow down the digestion, which is going to slow down the availability of that energy for that workout.
So I give an example of what maybe before, like you did that for a CrossFit or whatever.
Yeah, perfect. One of my actual favorite things to do is baby food. You can do fruit, but I use baby food packets because they're super simple, super quick. They store really well. You can transport them. They sit in your car in the heat. But maybe like 2 baby food packets or a piece of fruit, so banana, apple, anything like that, and maybe like a lower fat cheese or some nuts. Okay, don't need too many nuts, those are gonna have fats in them. But those would be something good. Okay. If you like protein drinks or protein bars, that's a good option to go with as well. If you're looking for something super quick and convenient, like you're not at your house or something like that, you're on the go, 100% grab those bars or something like that. You know, I like baby food. They have all kinds of flavors these days. You don't have kids? I tell you what, they are creative right now. You can get pretty much any combination you want. And some of them have like grains and proteins in them too. So you kind of get the whole thing. But yeah, I get that with a lot. But yeah, so ideally before our workout, think a little bit of protein, getting some carbohydrates in there, and then we'll refuel with the whole meal afterwards, getting the fats, proteins, and carbs in. Okay. Great question. Anybody else? That's okay. Make sure I'm not leaving anything else out on here. So for athletes, okay, depending again on how much you're training. So if you're training 1 hour a day versus 4 hours a day, your carbohydrate needs are between 5 to 12 grams per kilogram. Okay, so if you got a 100 kilogram person, so think around 220 pounds. Okay, that's what that translates to. Then you can base it off of that. So say if I'm training 3 hours a day, I want to do 10 grams per kilogram. I'm looking at least, if I can do math in my head, right? 100 kilograms, so 10, that's a lot. Okay, so you're going to need a lot of carbohydrates. Okay, so I cannot do math in my head. Hopefully admitting it right now, but that excuse me anything. Okay, and again, that's ballpark. That's going to be based on what that person needs and how their body responds. This general information. If you want more specific recommendations, I need to work one-on-one with it. Okay? Any questions on my carbohydrates?
Yeah, how the day before, the night before, so a lot of the people are coming in the morning. I don't know how much they're eating.
Yep, good question.
In the morning, before obviously say you wake up, right? You come in and work out. You're probably not having like a full meal. I don't know. Before you come in and work out, how important would it be? You know, say you train on the morning the day before, and then your body's kind of burning. You know, your metabolism is to the moon to kind of restore through the day, maybe in the evening, to make sure it's adequate enough for another tough workouts.
Right.
That next morning, and especially when you go from a workout to, other activities.
Perfect. So this is where eating throughout the day comes in super important. Okay, so if we're refueling carbohydrates and just food in general throughout the day, by the time you get to your dinner meal, you don't need to eat, 200 grams of carbohydrates in that one meal. Okay, we eat what we need to feel good, refuel, whatever that happens to be with what you're left in the day. Okay, so maybe I need to get 75, 80 grams of carbohydrates in that meal. Okay, if I'm a training athlete, it's young male, that's probably going to be closer to 200 grams in that meal. Okay, but if we've covered our bases throughout the day, that nighttime meal doesn't need to be anything super special. Okay, what we do need to look at doing is trying to eat something before we come here in the morning. Okay, Maybe that's a baby food packet. Maybe it's a banana on the way out the door. Maybe it's a protein shake or a smoothie, something that's really easy to digest. That's not going to sit super heavy on your stomach. Okay? Protein bar, granola bar, something that's got some carbohydrate in it. Okay? If you are not eating breakfast before you come in here right now, highly recommend just trying to add something in there. Okay? Start small with a quarter of a banana if you need to. It's just something on your stomach, give your body that energy to start. Okay? Great question. And yeah.
Yeah. And then to piggyback off of that,
Yeah.
so then through a workout, glycogen burn, pretty much, I'm always probably at the end of a workout, especially like just had like, say I came in here, I just had like half a banana, or I just had a baby food. They do make two great baby food. I used to get that. Anyway,
True.
I just had a little baby food pack. Now the workout's over.
Yep.
And I didn't have any intra-workout carbs or anything like that. Right, my body, I'm almost in a deficit situation, right? So before I would go to do anything else, right, I didn't refuel.
100%. Yeah. So you are definitely going to be at that deficit. So the research is showing if your workout is less than an hour, don't necessarily need to replenish in there. Okay. If we're doing a 2-3 hour session, 100% get some carbs in during that workout. Okay. After your workout, we've had half a banana. We are 100% at a deficit. So I think when you're in here, you're burning 300 to 400 or 500 calories an hour, depending on what the workout is. Okay. They did look at CrossFit workouts. 300 to 500 calories was kind of that range for an hour-long class. Okay. You need to replenish. That banana gave you 800 calories. Okay. So especially if you're going into another workout, carbohydrates and protein are absolute key. Okay. Recommendations right now are for protein to really optimize that protein synthesis after a workout. You want to refuel with about 25 to 30 grams within 2 hours after your workout. And it's going to give you more optimal recovery for that muscle synthesis.
The carbs or protein?
Protein. For carbohydrates, same thing. You still need to get some carbohydrates in there that's going to help get the protein into the cells as it breaks down with an insulin response. Okay? And also refuel those glycogen stores, which Jeremy was just talking about. So glycogen is the storage form of glucose, which is our breakdown unit of carbohydrate. Okay? Carbohydrates break down into that glucose. We store the glycogen in our liver and in our muscles. Okay? The liver is mainly to keep a homeostasis on our blood sugar levels. So we start getting blood or sugar out of the blood, we start going too low. Glucagon is a hormone that is released from the liver, and it stimulates the production of glucose from the stored glycogen. Okay, so you got glycogen in the liver, blood sugar start dropping, different hormone made the liver release some glucose into our bloodstream, so it should stay between kind of 70 and 100. Okay, and that's where our happy blood sugar levels are. If we're too low, that's not great. We get hypoglycemic, dizzy, sweats, can pass out. If it's too high for too long, that's when we start developing insulin resistance and eventually type 2 diabetes. Okay? Your body, and to help it stay, will regulate that. Okay? And most of that comes from our glycogen stores in the liver. If we're out of those stores, body's gonna have a really hard time regulating that. That's one of the good reasons we need to replace that glucose or glycogen after a workout. Okay? We also have glycogen in our muscles. That's where you get that quick energy from. So again, through those 1 to 2 minute bursts, that's where that glycogen energy comes from. After that, we go into fatty acid oxidation, which takes longer, but produces more energy. Okay, so I'm going to know with that. Good question. So yes, 100% you need to refuel after a workout, especially if you're going into an after. How many CrossFit Games watchers? Documentary watchers? If you watch the CrossFit Games documentaries, every single athlete they're interviewing is eating some quick source of sugar after a workout. Our quarterback, my favorite, she sits there munches on mango, dried mango, the whole documentary. Okay, and that's because she knows to be able to replete those glycogen stores that she just 100% depleted in that last 5 to an hour long workout, she's got to replenish that, or else her body is not going to perform like it needs to. Okay? 100%, if you're especially going into another workout, another physical activity, eat carbs. Please eat carbs. Your body will think, okay. Good stuff. Any other questions so far? All right, you guys ready to move on to protein? All right, so protein is probably what people are going to be very familiar with because that's been one of the standard recommendations. Protein has always been your friend, especially for weight loss, especially for training, for muscle. Everyone wants to get their protein in, whatever your goal is typically, okay? Protein is like carbohydrates. It produces 4 calories per gram. However, it is your body's absolute last line of an energy source, okay? It's gonna prioritize the carbohydrates and then your stored or recently entered the bloodstream fats as your energy sources. And then if we have to, it'll use that protein. Or if you eat a ton of protein at one time, your body can't really absorb it for muscle synthesis, then it can be used kind of the energy source, okay? The fun thing about protein and why it is touted as like really good for weight loss is that it actually takes a lot of energy to break protein down. So kind of your net calorie gained isn't as high for protein. But again, it also is 100% necessary for that muscle synthesis, okay? Building blocks of proteins are amino acids. They're super important in cellular structures and enzymes. You gotta have your protein. If you're at a protein deficit or your muscle balance isn't be positive, then you're not gonna have that good muscle synthesis to actually get gains from your workouts, okay? So if we're breaking down protein during our workout, we're not providing the body with what it needs to replenish that, then we're not going to see that that good progression into our training. Okay? Recommendations here are about 50 to 20% of total calorie needs. Okay? For my athletes, think at least 1.2 to 2 grams per kilogram, or hitting that 15 to 20%, depending on like your individual goals are. We talked about earlier the most effective time frame for that muscle protein synthesis is within 2 hours after that training workout. That's when we want to get that in. Now, research is showing that we can't do a huge 40, 50 gram dump, okay, and get even more. Okay, the body will only actually look at about 25 to 30 grams at a time to incorporate that into protein synthesis. So you would be doing better to have that protein drink right after your workout, then get your meal in, and then just slowly add that protein, 6-7 times throughout the day in smaller increments rather than hitting like 40, 50 grams every time. Okay? It's sort of that easy, just chow a couple protein drinks and get your proteins today, we're good to go. But unfortunately it's better for your muscle synthesis to actually give your body time to digest and incorporate it at the limit through the day. Okay? Let's see. Anything else there? Cool. Any questions on protein?
Yeah, I'll do.
Yeah.
What
What are the best sources?
Best sources. Good question. Okay. So plant versus animal. Is that where we want to start?
Yeah.
All right. So if we are ethical reasons, plant sources are 100% fine. If you're an athlete, research is showing, now they only look at soy protein. The research shows that the animal proteins are incorporated in that muscle protein synthesis more efficiently. Okay, they haven't looked at oat protein, brown rice protein, pea protein. None of those were studied in this study, just soy. So I can't speak to those. But both protein sources are absolutely fine. Okay, real food sources for plants, think tofu, think beans, peas are good. Chickpeas, black beans. If you are okay doing eggs, eggs are going to be top notch. Those are going to be your best kind of plant sources. Okay? Your plant protein powders are fine. I recommend.
How much protein is in just an egg? Hard-boiled. Six green.
I actually didn't know that one. I knew it was around 10, but I didn't know the exact. So yeah. Your plant sources also don't have as much as your animal sources.
So if you do like Leadcon, which is what I use afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
it's supposed to have 50 grams of protein. I think they want you have to put so much
So much,
in there.
yeah.
So I'm not getting that much, but
Did you just say 50 grams?
it's supposed to have 50 to be a
50?
sport. Yes.
Dang, you don't need that much at one time.
Well,
anyway.
and I don't do
Yeah.
like the recommended. I do like just one instead of 1.5.
There you go. You can do, yeah, do half what they recommend.
And now
you
I'm
can
glad
do
I
it.
did because I can sort of waste it.
You would 100% would be.
You do it before you come or after?
After.
But yeah, so plant sources are absolutely fine. Okay, just kind of depends on where your goals are. But that's,
I'm not strictly vegetarian, but I mean, I have that over the years, and like when you've always eaten the eggs,
Yeah.
it's sort of a routine source.
yeah. No, but eggs are phenomenal. 100%. I love eggs. Let's be like 10 a day. Don't worry too much about your cholesterol. Once you have like family history of high cholesterol, once
Well,
eggs consuming.
I actually do, but
Do
I
you?
don't. You know,
Yeah,
I'm like,
nice.
I always like sit on the top level and never snooze that in the fat ones. It's like nuts.
So as long as you keep moving, you should be okay. I thought more than it.
Yeah, sorry to link it up.
No,
Yes.
you're good. You're good. That's a great question.
Just curious about
But yeah, any of your animal sources are going to be, your beef, chicken, pork, fish. Any of those are absolutely fine. Protein drinks, dairy. Dairy is a great source, depending on how much sugar they've added to it. Always check food labels. But yeah, any of those will work. Eggs, all that stuff. Anything else specifically you were worrying about wondering about?
Please.
Anybody else? All right, any other questions on the protein? Good stuff. All right, let's move on to fats. Everybody's favorite. Yeah. I love these fats. Fats don't make fat. Okay? Starting there. Fats don't make fat. Fats are a great source of energy. Okay? Fats can provide 9 calories per gram. Okay? So over double our protein, over double our carbohydrate. That's why this is our main source of energy as we get into longer workouts. Okay? So over that kind of 2 to 10 minute range, you're going to go more into fatty acid oxidation, which is going to then produce your energy. Very long chemical process that goes really quickly in your body, but not as quickly as carbohydrate. Okay? So with our fats, we want to think healthy fats as much as we can. So the biggest problem in the American diet today is our ratio of fats. So we have what we call omega-6 fats, omega-3 fats. Okay? We were designed to have a ratio of about 2 to 1 omega-6 to omega-3 fats. So omega-6s are going to be your corn oil, your soy oil, your other vegetable oils. Omega-3s are going to be your grass-fed meat. They're going to be your fatty fishes. DHA, EPA, if you're taking fish oil tablets, those kind of things, okay? Well, the typical American eats is about a 20 to 1 ratio. So we are very high off. What that causes in our bodies is a more inflammatory state, okay? We're more inflammatory, we got a lot of inflammation going on that's going to hinder our normal processes, especially our recovery, okay? So that's one of the reasons we really want to pay attention to the quality of the fats we're eating. Avocados are phenomenal. Okay, olive oil is good. They're monounsaturated fats. They're not going to contribute to that ratio too much. Coconut oil and butter, these are going to be your saturated fats. Okay, they're not the bad guy. All right, we don't want to go crazy. We can have butter. We can have the coconut oil in moderation. You need saturated fats for hormone production. Okay. If you are severely restricting fat, total fat, but especially also saturated fats, your sex drive may go down. Okay? You don't have those hormones being able to be produced because you don't have that substrate. You're going to have some effects down the road, long term. It may not be immediately, but if we're chronically doing these restrictions, that's what can cause or what can occur down the stream, down the roads. Okay? So please don't fear your fats. Obviously, at 9 calories per kilogram, we can easily overdo it. How many people just sat there and chomped on nuts while you're working on something and realized you ate half the container? Yeah, that's a lot of fats. Done that, I'd eat over 1,000 calories of macadamia nuts in one sitting. Did not feel well the next day. But if you needed it, what was that?
Great during.
It was great. I loved it. They were delicious. I mean, they were amazing. Freshly cracked, opened up. They were delicious. I regretted decisions later. Okay? You can easily overdo fats, which I think is why people are scared of them, especially if you're working out of a calorie goal range. Okay? But don't fear the fats. Okay? Just measure out what we need. You're looking at 20 to 30% of calories in your day coming from your fats. Okay? Again, we need fats. We need a mixture of fats. We don't want just vegetable oils. Okay? They're very hard to escape these days. They're in salad dressings, they're in sauces. If you go out to eat, they're probably going to use some sort of vegetable oil to fry stuff or saute any of your vegetables, anything like that. So keep that in mind. If we eat out a lot, you're probably getting a very increased amount of that omega-6 or inflammatory fats in your diet. Okay? I'm not trying to scare you away from omega-6s. You need some. It's all about balance here. Okay? So we want to try to get our fats from a variety of sources. Okay? With that, let's see. Think I got on there. Any questions on fats?
Oh, this is, I think some people think, because keto is such a buzzword
Keto. Yep.
these days. I think people, I guess my question is, to truly be in a keto state, to use that for energy,
Yep.
basically the body would have to almost be without any.
Less than 20 grams of carbohydrates a day.
Yeah.
That's typical recommendation. So, what a lot of people fall into the trap is trying to go keto. They'll end up with just a very low carbohydrate diet, which puts in kind of a hype. Okay, you're not getting enough carbohydrates now, but you're also not tapping into ketosis. Okay, so now your body's really confused. You're like, well, what am I using? What am I using? Okay, for true ketosis, you have to have elevated ketones in your blood. Okay, that's the energy source that replaces glucose. And you need to be eating less than approximately 20 grams per day. That will vary somewhat depending on the individual, but that's generally kind of what's thought of as putting you into ketosis. There are devices to measure the ketones to make sure you are in ketosis. The problem you're going to find with ketosis, which I kind of touched on earlier, especially for women, long term it can play with their hormones and not in a good way. Men typically can stay in ketosis a little bit longer. It's also very hard to do in our society. If you go out anywhere, there's going to be carbohydrates in. It's just going to be a thing. Even your very low carbohydrate vegetables are going to have carbohydrates. To get a balance of vitamins, minerals, and energy, you are going to have to be very, very intentional with what you eat. You're probably going to need some vitamins in there because you're going to be cutting out a very large food group of grains, of vegetables, of fruits. You're really not going to get much fruit, maybe a couple berries a day. That's going to be the extent of your fruit. Okay? So it is a very, very restrictive diet, especially to maintain long term. And if your lifestyle does not support being able to make literally everything you put in your mouth, it's not even sustainable. You're going to end up in that very hybrid. Okay? Ketones are also, the research is showing they're great for endurance. Okay? Some endurance athletes have switched over to like a ketosis train and compete. Not sure again what long term of that is, but I've seen a couple of studies doing that. But if you were trying to get quick energy like those burpees, forget it. All right, if you need a quick burst of energy for 2 to 5 minutes, you don't have it. Okay, or you have it for about a minute and then it's gone. I've done ketosis myself. I can verify this. I cannot do CrossFit, but I could swim for 3 hours straight. Okay, so it really also depends on your goals. If that's something you want to do, highly recommend working with a professional if that's something that you think you need. Okay, and that's something we can talk about. It is never going to be my first recommendation for anything. Okay, unless you are a child who has epilepsy. Okay, there are good research for ketosis diets and epilepsy in children. That's about it. Great question. And else, but yeah, feed your brain. Feed your brain. The love carbohydrates. Stuff. And any other questions on the fats? Good stuff. So just kind of reviewing those three, if we are looking at kind of making our balanced day for calorie consumption, my recommendations are get your protein first and then look at your carbohydrates and total calories. Okay? So you need all three of those macromolecules. Fill in the fats at the end with what calories you got left. You kind of need a series of nuts there. Okay? All right, any questions on the food? We're going to jump to water. So, all right, so North Carolina in the summer. Everybody been dripping? Yeah? I know I have. Remember, when we talk about water, our bodies are 60 to 70% water, okay? We also don't store that water. That's water that's being utilized for blood, for plasma, to maintain homeostasis in our electrolytes. We have all of our electrolytes, so think magnesium, phosphorus, calcium, potassium, sodium, chloride, all those exist in water. Okay, without water, we don't have electrolytes. Without electrolytes, nothing chemically, biologically happens in our body, and we out. Okay, so water is super important. Having enough water is super important, because if those concentrations get too high or too low on those electrolytes, again, you've got a problem. Our body is fantastic at regulating that, but that said, if we don't have enough, it can't regulate. We have got to make sure we're hydrating, especially if we're sweating. The door's open and 95-degree heat and 95% humidity, that water and electrolytes are just coming out of our body. Okay, so we have got to make sure we're replenishing that. What does water come from? Obviously, the fluids we drink. Food actually provides water, especially if you're doing a lot of fruits and vegetables. Okay, and then your body actually makes water as a byproduct of your metabolism. Okay, so 200 to 300 milliliters, a couple ounces there that actually made from your body as a byproduct of that energy metabolism. Okay, but they're all sources we can get water from. So men, the recommendation is 3.7 liters per day total, and that includes the food, that includes the fluids we drink, that includes what our body makes. For females, that's 2.7 liters per day. And I think I put the ounce equivalents in your sheets there if you are more familiar with the U.S. system. So that's kind of the general recommendations. If we're sweating more, if we're training more, if we're producing breast milk, that's got to increase even more. Okay? So make sure we are drinking enough water. One of my favorite ways to get this in is to do something we call habit stacking. So things you do every single day. Maybe that's, I brush my teeth, I'm gonna drink some water, have it sitting there. I'm gonna pour my coffee. While my coffee's brewing or while I'm pouring it, before I drink it, I'm gonna drink some water. The things we do every day, add a sip of water in there. That's one way you can get more in there. If you do not have kidney or heart issues, highly recommend, especially in the summer, sweating a lot, adding in some electrolytes there. Okay, you're losing a lot of potassium, a lot of sodium. You need to replenish that. New guidelines are coming out at this moment about recommendations for sodium intake. For heart failure patients, they've actually increased it from under 2 grams a day to 2 to 3 grams a day. For the general population, 4 to 6 grams a day. Okay? So that's not a lot, so that's a little bit more than what was recommended. But we see health issues with too low sodium and health issues with too much. So that's that sweet spot. And again, it's going to vary individually. But those are kind of the general recommendations that are coming out now.
Where are you in that? Where's the best place to get the sodium? Something you add to water, or you don't just get it from natural?
All of the above. Okay, so if you're eating out a lot, you're going to probably hit those sodium goals. Because anytime you get food from somewhere else, it's going to have a lot of sodium. You go and get a wrap, sushi's a big culprit. Not culprit, but a big source of sodium, especially if you're using soy sauce. You may get 2 grams is just a thing food. So check your food labels. If you don't eat out a lot and you make your own food, don't add a lot of salt. You can add some salt in cooking. You can do electrolytes. I do LMNT just because I know I sweat a lot and I'm losing a lot and I'm breastfeeding right now, so I got to replace all that. And I don't eat out a lot. I don't do a whole lot of salt added to anything. I got a 2-year-old as well, so I don't cook with salt if I like. But yeah, you can do any source pretty much that you want. But just be aware if you do eat out or deli sandwiches, even healthier options are going to have a good bit of sodium in them just to make them taste good. Okay. So check your food labels. You can add sodium while you're cooking, or you can do electrolytes.
You say 2 grams of sodium a day?
Mm-hmm.
When you flip something over, sodium is like, what is that? Not grams?
Milligrams. So 2 grams is 2,000 milligrams.
2 grams is 2,000. You got 4,000
Milligrams or 4 grams. They're the same thing.
Oh,
That's why the metric system is fun. You just add and take away zeros.
okay.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to kind of convert between everything. If another topic. Milligrams. So 4,000 to 6,000 milligrams or 4 to 6 grams are all the same. Good question. Good question. Yeah, on your nutrition labels, they are usually in milligrams.
Cool.
So yeah, you can have 300 or 400 milligrams per serving, so you can have more of that thing versus something that's got 1,000 milligrams per serving.
Because my husband loves to eat like those, those things in the grocery store that are like a meat and cheese.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And so, but now I throw away the packaging and I buy the turquoise instead of the,
Yeah.
we basically can't tell the difference because of the sodium in that stuff has been
Yeah.
added.
It's crazy. And ramen noodles.
Oh, that's like,
That's crazy. I think
Yeah.
there's 1,000
Salt
in
was
one
a little
packet.
bit
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's very good to be cognizant of how much you're taking in from those outside products for sure. Because with the sodium, it's very easy to go over. People who aren't watching kind of what they're eating, they eat out a good bit or eat snacks. Snacks or anything in a package is going to have good sodium, but that's a preservative. Okay? So 100% check those nutrition labels. Make sure you're not getting too much, but also not too little.
So if you're a person who sweats a lot, like
Yeah.
during the workouts,
Yeah.
should I be putting something in the water that I'm drinking during the workout?
Again, without heart and kidney issues, electrolytes are not a bad idea. Okay, especially in the summer here, because you're going to be losing the potassium and the chloride and the sodium and the other electrolytes in that sweat.
if those things that are out now, but
Like a
Yep.
little thing you just kind of
Yeah.
put
Yeah,
in the water.
yeah. So the brand I use is called Element, and it's designed for people who are athletes who are training to replace that from the sweat. It's got magnesium, potassium, and sodium borate in it. Phosphorus, calcium. We typically get a good bit of those in our diet from dairy products and other foods. But potassium, especially, is if you don't eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, that's when you're probably not getting enough. Questions, guys? And no, you don't have to go out and buy the electrolyte pack. Okay, I'm not going to endorse going to buy a bunch of stuff. You can get this stuff from food. You just have to be a little more intentional with it. Okay? Yeah, that's just an easy way to kind of replace all that. Good stuff. Easy out so far? Love it. All right, Steve, what am I missing? All right, so dehydration. So let's jump into that real quick. Okay? If you were thirsty, you're already dehydrated. All right? Thirst is your body saying, hey, I've lost 1 to 2% of that body weight. There's water loss. I need more. Okay? We have a saying with Carolina Movement Doctors who I work with is get ahead, stay ahead. Water is one of the best examples of that. All right? Keep drinking through the day. Again, if you are thirsty, you're already in a depleted state as far as fluids go. Okay? If you lose up to 10% of your body weight from fluids, you're not functioning well. 20% you're dead. Okay? That's why we have got to stay on that hydration while we're training. Okay? It's definitely going to affect your performance. It's going to affect your training if you don't have the fluids available to use for all those body functions. Okay? All right. Any questions so far? Trying to hit the big stuff and not bore you guys. I love all the science behind it all. So, good. Okay. I think that's pretty much my spiel. Try to touch on a little bit of everything, the big stuff. Okay. And I think on the first slide I called that the 99%. So those kind of 4 things, dial those in, and then you can get to the fun little tweaks, the supplements, the wearables that track when's the best time to train, that kind of thing. Those are the 1%. These things right here, if you don't have this dialed in, that's not going to help you so much. Okay, that's for that extra 1%. So the 99% we want to focus on, again, starting with nutrition today. Okay, thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Please, Garrett.
Yeah.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So what would you recommend? So I kind of do ish what we talked about. But like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon,
Yeah.
it's like game on. I'm so freaking hungry.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's because of what I've done, like in the morning for this workout, and
Yep.
sometimes I'll do like a tennis match or whatever. Sometimes it's a lot of times.
A lot of times.
And then I eat like big salad, like I'm full, but then at 4 o'clock,
Okay. So let me, first off, what's the very first thing you put in your mouth in the morning?
The protein shake.
Protein shake? Okay. Do you have coffee? No? You are a rare breed. Rare breed. Okay, so you have a protein shake. What about breakfast?
That is my breakfast.
I do
And
breakfast.
then I come here.
Come here. Okay, after you work out, what do we do?
Like sometimes I'll make like an omelet, and then sometimes I'll do like avocado toast. Sometimes I'll just do like a carb bowl of it.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll do nothing.
And I'm done. Okay. So we're ranging between 0 and maybe 400 or 500 calories there.
And anytime I go to tennis, I always do something
And then
in
in between.
between.
Okay, let's get good. All right, you said for lunch we normally do salads. Okay. Not a lot of calories there either. So up to
There's
this.
chicken and stuff on it.
Okay, what are your carbohydrates?
I don't really love things like that.
Okay, that's fair.
Like I love mac and cheese. That's stuff my favorite carb of all time.
Delia. You and my husband get hungry. So what are some carbohydrate sources you might enjoy? Like fruits?
Oh, sometimes I put fruit in my salad.
Okay, fruit. What about grains? Like, do you ever put grains in your salad? Like brown rice, quinoa, anything like that? How do you feel about adding that?
But it's not enticing.
Not enticing at all. Okay, so we're gonna stick with fruit. That's fair. I appreciate the honesty. Okay. Do you do any other snacks up until that point?
Like nuts, pretzels, cheese.
Okay. So my guess is you've probably not hit enough calories for the amount you're expending up until that point. So 4 o'clock hits and you're starving. Eat. Okay, get some fats in there. That are going to give you the extra calories and make you feel fuller. So do crackers with cheese, cracker with peanut butter, fruit with peanut butter. If you need to have another small meal, that's okay. But you have permission to eat. Okay, if you are hungry, listen to your body. It's telling you something.
Cool.
I need stuff. I've worked out how many hours at that point?
Probably 3.
3. Okay, so think you've possibly already burned 12 to 1,500 calories just from working out. Forget about breathing, walking, fidgeting, okay? You've hit a lot of calories in it already. So at 4 o'clock, your body probably is like, hey, give me something.
Right.
Okay? You're probably in a deficit at that point.
And then have like a full dinner.
That's fine. You have permission to eat.
No, I mean,
You have permission to eat. And it's unfortunate that for the past 20, 30 years, we've been taught calories in is calories out. So if you're wanting to be skinnier, more toned, X, Y, Z, you restrict.
right. I kind of like eat a lot. I just think I don't have that balance of eating the right things.
Yeah.
Like I'm not afraid to have like a massive bowl of like ice with like 9 of it.
That's okay.
So I'm not, it's not that part. I just feel like I'm so awe of what I'm doing versus what I'm eating
Right.
for my exercise thing. So I can call you personally.
100%. Yeah, so that's something that I would need to kind of delve into
Yeah.
personally and individually. Yeah, I'm gonna give you guys all cards for sure. But yeah, that's a whole conversation of what works for you and what we need to adjust for you and
Right.
But overall, you're probably not eating enough calories by that point in the day, and your body's like, all right, refuel me. I need stuff. So you are starving. And the best way to counteract that is to be a little more intentional with more calories on your previous meals. Maybe that's adding more avocado, maybe adding some butter, maybe adding some peanut butter, something with a lot of calories. That's also going to help you get your protein goals with what you're going to do. That's perfect. Good question. Mel? Yeah.
I mean, what's the thing more like fruits?
Yeah.
I don't really need historically, I wasn't working on that, but any specific fruits better or looking at it rivals or
Not really, no. If you have diabetes or worried about blood sugar issues, I would recommend kind of moderating grapes, bananas, and apples. Berries are going to be your lowest carbohydrate with a lot of antioxidants, so they're really, really good bang for your buck. But there's really no fruit you need to avoid per se.
what?
Unless you have kidney issues with star fruit, which is a very obscure fruit, but very delicious. But yeah, really anything fair game. My favorite way, I'm not a big individual fruit eater, but I love smoothies. There's smoothies sitting in my car, so I'm gonna just talk about this. I love smoothie. There's as much in there as not. Basically, add some protein, peanut butter, whatever milk you want. If you want to stay with the vegetarian options, like you can put a lot in the smoothie. Avocado, spinach, really easy, good way to get some calories in.
What if there's so much like sugar in smoothies?
Depends on how you make them. If
Okay,
you're going
yes,
to,
sir.
yeah, if you're going to Smoothie King, 100%.
Right, but if you're
100. But yeah, if you're making it at home, something I do for my husband every Sunday when I do my food prep is I make smoothie packs. So just a regular plastic baggie. But then basically got a banana and a half, some blueberries, spinach, peanut butter, freeze it. Put it in your blender, add your milk, protein powder, go. Quick, easy, ready to go. You can make 20 of them at a time. I don't, because I never have that much fruit on hand, but yeah, you can make them ahead, which makes it super convenient for getting out the door. Yeah.
I have
She taps that mate and very what's it? Mean fruit diet is mate and just for
So like heard that one. Technically, you could probably hit everything you need. You would have to be extremely intentional. My concern would be if you're trying to actually hit your fat goals, you're going to be eating some really not healthy meats. You're going to be eating bacon. You're going to be eating fatty cuts. Depending if they're grass-fed or not, and they may or may not be more inflammatory with those fats. But the fats would be my biggest concern.
Sunday flares,
Just beef,
cancer,
baby breaks, apples.
oh, that's what it is.
How's this food?
Oh, how did I know about that?
He's like, it was
Anything that's going to cut out entire food groups is going to probably cause issues long term. That's my general thought process. I have not looked into kind of long-term consequences of a meat fruit diet. I feel like it'd be very hard to maintain long term, but my biggest, again, straight off the top of my head, is you're going to be very restricted with fats, especially healthy fats. He may be hitting a saturated fat, but he's probably not getting omega-3s from fish if all he's eating is beef. He's not going to get his monounsaturated fats from avocado, olive oil, things like that. So the fats would be extremely restricted. There are some vitamins, minerals that are more readily available in grains. A lot of good fiber in grains. Obviously, there are fruits that have some fiber too.
And what do they do? And maybe what and lean and then what should I do? Take it off.
That would definitely help, but
Yeah.
again, just
And
yeah. I feel like again, when we're cutting out entire food groups, we're gonna miss something long term, unless we're being very intentional with how you'll already do that. And a lot of times with those kind of restrictive diets, we tend to get the same things because we know they work. So now all I'm eating is beef and maybe just bananas and blueberries and maybe some tangerines every day. So am I actually hitting all the vitamins and minerals I need?
it does a lot there. Fruits and grounds,
And without actually talking to them, I couldn't tell you exactly what you're missing, but usually there's something missing. I haven't heard that one. So do it.
No, this absolute just says meat for the no, yeah, and these jams.
Yeah.
My son is 6'4" in these jams.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be difficult to get too many calories off of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not getting many fats.
Like
All allowed full.
these meats.
I'd be curious how many calories and carbohydrates is able to get in their own energy with. Well, for anybody who gets carbohydrate, it would be very hard to get that many calories in, unless they ate tons of anything. Bring back the food quality organization.
Oh, that's good.
Anything else? Alrighty, guys.